The DHS violated the court order in deporting 8 migrants to South Sudan. Tyrone Bowman live. Let's talk about it. According to ABC News, a federal judge in Boston ruled Wednesday that the Trump administration's deportations of 8 men convicted of violent crimes to South Sudan was, quote, unquestionably violative of this court's order, end quote, by not giving them adequate due process, including a meaningful opportunity to object. The rebuke came after his order earlier this week that the Department of Homeland Security maintain custody, of the migrants. Judge Brian Murphy of the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts had issued an order on Tuesday directing the government to maintain custody of anyone covered by his preliminary injunction who is in the process of being removed to South Sudan or any other country, quote, to ensure the practical feasibility of return if the court finds that such removals were unlawful, end quote. Quote, it was impossible for these people to have a meaningful opportunity to object to their transfer to South Sudan in that time frame. He said Wednesday, arguing that due process was not possible since the migrants received their notices of removal on the evening of May 19th and then were taken out of the detention facility the next morning. Based on what I've learned, I don't see how anyone or anybody could say that these individuals had a meaningful opportunity to object, Murphy said. If I was in any of those groups and I was going to be deported to South Sudan, I would need an opportunity to investigate that and be able to articulate a well-founded fear about why being returned to South Sudan would result in torture or death. The department did not do it. In this case, they did not offer any opportunity to object. Quote, close quote. DHS confirmed the 8 migrants were placed on a deportation flight from Texas headed to war-torn South Sudan on Monday. Officials said ahead of the hearing, though they claimed this would not be the migrants' final destination. Ahead of the hearing, DHS held a news conference in Boston on the deportations, in which Assistant Homeland Security Secretary Tricia McLaughlin told reporters that, quote, no country on earth wanted to accept them because their crimes were so uniquely monstrous and barbaric, end quote. A local judge in Massachusetts is trying to force the United States to bring these uniquely barbaric monsters who present a clear and present threat to the safety of the American people and American victims. McLaughlin said, while we are fully compliant with the law and court orders, it is absolutely absurd for a district judge to try and to dictate the foreign policy and national security of the United States. When asked where the 8 men are, McLaughlin said she can't disclose their current whereabouts are right now, but that they're still in DHS custody. Officials declined to identify their final destination, citing security concerns. I would caution you to make the assumption that their final destination is South Sudan. As far as that agreement goes, I would definitely refer to the State Department more specifics, she added. Officials said the men's countries of origin refused to accept them, so DHS, in partnership with the State Department, found a country that would accept them through a safe third country agreement. I can't say that their home countries refuse, or I can say that their home countries refuse to take these individuals back. Acting U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Director Todd Lyons said, ICE detention isn't punitive. We detain and remove after 6 months or 180 days. If we don't have a country that'll take their citizens back, we do have an option to find a safe third country, Lyons said. However, McLaughlin argued to reporters that the 8 migrants were given due process. We are following due process under the U.S. Constitution. These individuals have been given, and their lawyers have been given plenty of prior notice. As far as those actual agreements, we can get back to you with more information from the State Department, she said. Okay, I'm looking at the picture of these 8 people. And you tell me what you see. Murphy said the violation will now need to be remedied. In response, plaintiff's attorney Trina Riamato argued during the court hearing that the plane should be returned to the U.S. That ain't gonna happen, and that the men should be afforded the due process that she said can only take place on U.S. soil. That ain't happening either. Drew Ensign, an attorney for the Department of Justice, asked the court to fashion as narrow a remedy as possible and suggested that an option is for the due process required by the injunction to take place without bringing the plane back to the U.S. However, Ensign could not immediately answer Murphy's question about whether that is possible. ICE released names and other details regarding those deported on Wednesday. Several were convicted of first-degree and second-degree murder. Kwa Maya, a citizen of Burma, was convicted of lascivious acts with a child victim less than 12 years of age. Nayo Mint, a citizen of Burma, was convicted of first-degree sexual assault involving a victim mentally and physically incapable of training. Another was convicted of robbery, possession of a firearm, driving under the influence. Tyrone Bowman, never surrender, never quit. What's happening, Elias? I'm not too correct about the last name on the list. I'll just say, so what's up, D? All right, y'all, I'm out. Never surrender, never quit. Peace.